Hey guys, it's Coffin. Here's a true horrifying 4th of July story. This happened to me back in 2016 during a 4th of July trip that I will never forget for the rest of my life. I haven't told many people about this, and honestly, I don't even know how to explain some of the things we saw out there. But what I do know is something was watching us, and it wasn't human. Every year, my friends and I do a camping trip around the 4th of July. It's kind of become a tradition: beer, fireworks, a small bonfire, and getting off the grid for a few days. That year, we picked a spot deep in the Ocala National Forest in central Florida. My buddy Jacob found it online. It was off an old service road with barely any cell reception, surrounded by thick woods on all sides, secluded, perfect for setting off illegal fireworks without bothering anyone. There were 5 of us: me, Jacob, Mike, Tyler, and Marcus. We got there late afternoon on July 3rd, set up our tents, built a fire pit, and spent the first night just drinking and telling dumb stories under the stars. It wasn't until the night of the 4th that things got weird. The day started out normal: burgers, cheap beer, blasting music from a Bluetooth speaker. As night fell, we started lighting the fireworks. We'd been setting them off for about 20 minutes when we noticed something strange. There was a flash of light, not from our fireworks, but coming from deeper in the woods, like someone else was out there setting off their own. At first, we just laughed it off, figuring there must be another group nearby doing the same thing, but then we realized it wasn't fireworks, it was a red flare, just one, and it hovered in the sky longer than a normal firework would. Then it slowly sank behind the treetops and vanished. We stood there in silence. None of us said it, but I think we were all thinking the same thing. That didn't look right. It felt off. Jacob shrugged it off. Probably some guy with a drone or something. But then, about 10 minutes later, we started hearing movement in the trees. Heavy footsteps, not animals, not twigs snapping, but something walking. At first it was distant, maybe 100 yards out, but then it got closer and faster. We turned off the music and stood still, trying to listen. That's when Marcus whispered, "Yo, what is that?" We looked toward the tree line and saw a figure, standing dead still between 2 pine trees, completely in shadow. No flashlight, no phone light, just standing there. We shouted, thinking maybe it was another camper. "Yo, you good?" No response. Jacob shouted louder, still nothing. Then, the figure walked away, silently, into the woods. At this point, we were all seriously creeped out. We doused the fire, packed our chairs back into the truck bed, and huddled in our tents, trying to sleep it off. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of rustling outside my tent. Not like an animal digging or moving around. This sounded like someone dragging something through the leaves. I sat up and held my breath. Then I heard this low, metallic scraping, like something being dragged across the dirt. Suddenly, Jacob unzipped his tent and whispered, "Dude, someone tried to open my truck door." Now we were all awake. Tyler said he thought he saw a flashlight moving near the edge of the trees just minutes before that. We all stood there with our backs to the fire pit, flashlights out, scanning the dark woods. That's when Marcus whispered, "Where's your axe?" I had brought a small hatchet to split wood. I left it on a stump next to the fire pit. It was gone. We didn't even think. We grabbed whatever we could and bolted to the truck. Jacob tried the door, unlocked, thank God, and we piled in, locking all the doors. He turned the headlights on, and that's when we saw it. Standing at the edge of the forest was a man, wearing a tattered white hoodie, holding the hatchet, just watching us. He didn't run. He didn't yell. He just tilted his head and smiled. Jacob threw it in reverse, spun the truck around, and gunned it down the service road. We drove until we had signal, then called the police. A sheriff met us at a gas station an hour later. When we told him what happened, he nodded slowly and said something I'll never forget. "You boys are lucky. We've had a few cases like this in the past. People go missing out there sometimes. Usually it's just squatters or folks growing things they shouldn't, but sometimes it gets a lot worse." Apparently, There had been reports of a man living deep in that part of the forest, seen a few times by hikers or campers, always late at night, always watching. But he'd never gotten that close before. We went back the next morning, escorted by 2 deputies, just to grab our tents and gear. They didn't find the axe, but they did find something else. Hanging from a tree near our campsite was a firework, one of ours, the exact kind we'd been lighting, hung from a branch by fishing wire like it was some kind of signal or bait. We haven't gone camping at that location since. And now, every 4th of July, when I hear fireworks going off in the distance, I can't help but wonder if someone's out there, watching again. If you're ever deep in the woods on the 4th of July, and you see a flare that doesn't look quite right, don't go looking for where it came from. If you guys enjoyed, leaving a like and a comment would be greatly appreciated. If you have a story of your own, feel free to send it to my email, linked in the description. Take it easy.